Hi, Maurice down in Core Focus. Have you ever been confronted by this beast of a tender that sort of comes down your email pipe and drops out on your desk as this impersonation of a door jam thing? You know, it's kind of this high and this wide, it's monstrous, and you think, gee, I'd really like to have a go at this business, but the tender document just seems insurmountable. You know, it's like a mountain, it's too wide and too high, can't get around it, can't get over it. Well, in this video, what I want to do is to share with you some tips that I've developed over the time about analysing and targeting in and identifying the really key areas that you need to focus on. In all of that 100 odd pages, where are the areas that you really need to focus on? And that's what I want to do. Now, how I want to do that is, I want to draw a model. What will we use? Let's draw a circle. Why a big circle? Well, it's a bit like the tender. It's a big fat thing, but let's make some sense of it. Okay, that's the tender. Where do you focus first? Well, over here. F is for formalities. When you go through the tender, and you need to have a scan through it, I'm not saying that you need to read it word for word. God, don't do that. You know, you'll lose the will to live. But have a scan through it, okay? And what you're looking for is the formalities. Now, how do you identify those? They are often the mandatories, or they're sometimes often called conditions of participation. Now, they're things that you have to meet these if you're to be considered when you put your tender in. Now, what might they be? They might be things like, do you have any breaches against the Equal Opportunities for Women Act or legislation? It might be that you have to have a particular license if you're in a technical field. An example of one recently was a chap rang me from Brisbane, a consultant, and said, I really want to go for this tender. And when he sent it through to me, I had a quick look, looked here first, and there, one of the conditions of participation was he had to have a third-party accredited ISO 9000 quality management system. I said to him one question, have you got that? He said no. I said stop, go no further. Okay? So that's why it's important to check on those formalities. One of the other key formalities is what I call, well, not what I call what it is, it's the lodgement date. Now why is that important? Is because when you come across the tender, and sometimes you don't find the tenders, you know, the day they're released, but you need to look at the LD, the lodgement date, to work out how much time you've got left. If, for example, it's 3 or 4 days, in my experience, let it go, because you're not really going to give yourself sufficient time to have a substantial crack at it that will make all the time and effort worthwhile. Because listen, if you're going for tenders, it's important to go for them hard, I say. You go hard or go home, as they say. So look at the lodgement date. So that's a snapshot. They're 3 of the key formalities. Check those out. Okay. What's the next one? The next area that you look at is the SOR, the Statement of Requirements. What's the significance of those? That's where the department will actually tell you what it is they're looking to buy. You know, it might go for 3 or 4 pages. I've seen them go for, 20 or 30. God forbid. But however, that's the key roles to share with you exactly what the department is looking for. So focus in on those and get a good understanding of them. Do they match with what your company's got? Can you do it all your own, all on your own, or do you need to partner with somebody that will give you the broader capability to be able to deliver the services? Okay, the next one, vitally important. AS, assessment criteria. Now, why are these important? Self-explanatory, really, because this is how they'll decide who wins and who doesn't. So you need to understand those assessment criteria and be able to pick them apart and get a really in-depth understanding of what it is they're asking, and then start thinking about how much information that you've got that is relevant to that. And because that's a big issue in terms of deciding or helping you decide how much extra work has got to be involved in putting a tender together. Vitally important. The third area is this RF stands for response format. Now thankfully tenders nowadays, whilst the quality of tenders varies broadly, more and more we're seeing response formats prescribed in the tender document, and they're saying that they want you to give them your response in this particular format. Okay, now that makes it easy because that gives you an idea on how you need to structure your tender. And a word of warning: I see this every now and again. Don't ignore it. You ignore it at your peril. This is not the time to do something unique and do your own, unique style of response. If they give you a response format, follow it. Okay, so they're the three biggies. But what about this over here? Well, this is all that other sundry stuff that's involved that makes up some of that 100-odd pages. One of the big ones in there, and these are actually often an attachment, is the C. Now, C stands for contract. Now, you might think, I've seen companies spend a lot of time going over those contracts before they even put pen to paper. In my view, and I might be accused of being a bit of a heretic here, however, that's pretty much a waste of time. This is where you need to focus, because this is where you'll decide whether you go for that tender or don't go for the tender. Because ultimately, this is about winning the tender. The contract is about how you manage the contract and deliver the service once you've won it. Okay? So it's important to have that distinction. By all means, have a scan through the contract at some time to identify if there's areas that you violently disagree with and you have to sort of put in a non-compliance on or an alternate position. But these are the ones. The formalities, statement of requirements, assessment criteria, and the response format. If you look for those and focus on those, you'll be on your way to putting a good tender that you'll have understood what the tender's looking for and not being bamboozled by all that other guff that comes in that monster of a thing of 100-odd pages. If you need any further help, give us a call, info@corefocus.com. That's our email address. We'd love to help you.